NFL players who died during their career. I mean, this is like just tragic. You know, you've gone through the high school football system, you've got to a D1 college, all of the work involved, you managed to make it onto a roster, you know, and then you become a star in the NFL. You're at the height of your career, and then the worst happens. Like, this is.
NFL is a league of triumph and tragedy, where moments of glory can turn the NFL is a league of triumph and tragedy, where moments of glory can turn into stories of heartbreak. While most players leave the playing field with their health and legacies intact, a rare and somber few never make it that far. These are the NFL players who tragically lost their lives during their NFL career. Their untimely deaths shook their teams, devastated their families, and left fans wondering what could have been. Among them is one name that changed how the NFL approached player safety forever. Cory Stringer was a key player on the Vikings offensive line, a mountain of a man, standing 6'4" at 335 pounds.
335. He was a unit.
Drafted in the first round in 1995, Stringer established himself as a rock-solid right tackle. His combination of size, athleticism, and work ethic made him a cornerstone of the Vikings' offensive line, protecting quarterbacks like Randall Cunningham and Dante Culpepper, and helping pave the way in the run game. Stringer wasn't just great on the field, he was known as a gentle giant off of it. Teammates admired his leadership, and his infectious laugh made him a locker room favorite. He was also a family man, devoted to his wife and young son, whose lives he hoped to secure through his NFL success. But in the summer of 2001, during the grueling heat of training camp, tragedy struck. On July 31st, 2001, the Vikings were in the midst of a particularly brutal practice session in Mankato, Minnesota, with temperatures soaring into the 90s and humidity levels just as oppressive. The heat index reached 110 degrees that day. Stringer, who had been feeling ill from the heat during the couple of practices prior, pushed through the session, determined to meet the demanding expectations of an NFL preseason. By the end of practice, he collapsed on the field, overwhelmed by heat exhaustion. Rushed to the hospital, Stringer's condition worsened as his body temperature spiked to over 108 degrees. Despite efforts to save him, Cory Stringer passed away the next morning due to complications from heat stroke. He was only 27 years old. Stringer's death was a watershed moment for the NFL, forcing the league to reevaluate its approach to player health and safety. In the aftermath, new regulations were introduced to protect players during extreme conditions, including mandatory access to water, limits on practice length, and heat monitoring protocols. His legacy lives on through the Cory Stringer Institute, which continues to advocate for heat safety in sports and other professions. Cory Stringer's passing remains one of the NFL's most sobering tragedies, a reminder that even the strongest athletes are not invincible. His story marked a turning point for player welfare and a lasting tribute to a man whose life was cut far too short. While Cory Stringer's story highlighted the dangers of physical strain in football, Chris Henry's tragic—
Man, 27. 27. Young man. That's so sad. That's so sad. If only somebody would have noticed him struggling and been like, just take a time out, take 10 minutes, you know? That could have been it. That could have saved him.
tale serves as a cautionary reminder of how off-field struggles can tear down a player's life with devastating consequences. A talented wide receiver with high potential, the only person who could stop Chris Henry the football player was Chris Henry the young man. Drafted in the third round of the 2005 NFL Draft out of West Virginia University, Henry wasted no time proving himself in the NFL. At 6'4" with a knack for making big plays, he became a key weapon for quarterback Carson Palmer in Cincinnati. Henry's first 2 seasons showcased his talent, with 15 touchdowns in his first 27 games. But as his career began to rise, personal struggles began to overshadow his on-field success. Henry frequently found himself in the headlines for the wrong reasons.
Bengals bad boy Chris Henry in trouble again.
Yeah, and this time he's charged with assault.
A series of
What are you doing, man? Like, you're in the NFL. Like, what the hell are you? Oh my God.
arrests and off-field incidents earned him a reputation as one of the league's most troubled players. The Bengals even released him in 2008, citing his inability to stay out of legal trouble. But after a brief hiatus, Henry was given a second chance, re-signed by the team, and he began working to rebuild his life and career. Teammates and coaches noticed a change in him, a renewed focus on the game and his family, particularly his fiancée and their 3 children. That progress was tragically cut short on December 16, 2009. Henry, who was recovering from a season-ending injury, became involved in a heated argument with his fiancée. The argument escalated, and as she attempted to leave in a truck, Henry jumped into the truck bed, desperate to continue the conversation. Witnesses reported seeing him standing in the bed of the vehicle as it sped through the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina. In a horrifying turn of events, Henry fell from the moving truck, sustaining fatal injuries. He was rushed to the hospital in an attempt to save his life, but was pronounced dead the following day at just 26 years old. Chris Henry's death shocked the football world, especially his teammates and fans who saw a player on the verge of redemption. The NFL and the Bengals community mourned the loss of a young man with so much left to prove, both as an athlete and a father. Chris Henry's story is one of unfulfilled potential and harsh lessons about the challenges many players face off the field. It serves as a stark reminder that even in the high-stakes world of professional football, personal struggles can have heartbreaking consequences. While Chris Henry's death highlighted personal struggles spilling into tragedy, Jovan Belcher—
Dude, he had everything. He had everything. All he needed to do was take like some anger management classes, or I don't know, some kind of emotional regulation class, and he'd still be here. Like, oh wow, 26, man.
Belcher's story shocked the NFL in an entirely different way. It was a case that left both fans and players grappling with unanswered questions about mental health, stress, and the impacts of the game. A promising linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, Belcher's rise to the NFL was as remarkable as the devastating events that brought his life to an end. Belcher went undrafted in 2009, but earned a spot on the Chiefs roster through sheer determination and work ethic. Despite being undersized for a linebacker, his grit and tenacity quickly made him a starter. In 4 seasons with the team, Belcher racked up over 250 tackles and became known as a reliable, hard-nosed defender. Off the field, he seemed to have a bright future. A devoted father to his infant daughter, a partner to his girlfriend Cassandra Perkins, and a respected teammate. However, beneath the surface, Belcher was battling personal demons that nobody saw coming. On the morning of December 1st, 2012, Belcher and Perkins had an argument in their Kansas City home. In a tragic escalation, Belcher fatally shot Perkins in front of his own mother, who had recently moved to Kansas City. The 22-year-old Perkins had been shot a total of 9 times.
What?
Okay, right now is she awake?
Oh my God.
Afterward, Belcher drove his Bentley to the Chiefs practice facility, where he stepped out of the car with a gun pointed to his head and encountered head coach Romeo Crennel and general manager Scott Pioli. With police on their way, Belcher thanked the 2 men for their support and requested owner Clark Hunt take care of his daughter. The coaches pled with Belcher to put the gun down, but it was to no avail. Belcher told them he can't be here before turning the gun on himself, ending his life in the parking lot. The murder-suicide rocked the NFL and drew national headlines. Teammates, coaches, and fans were left stunned, struggling to reconcile the image of Belcher as a hardworking, committed player with the horrific events of that morning. The tragedy brought renewed attention to the mental health challenges faced by athletes, the impact of head injuries, and the struggles some players face behind closed doors. It was revealed after his death that Belcher was suffering from CTE. His death also sparked a broader conversation about how the NFL could better support players off of the field. His story remains one of the darkest moments in league history, a sobering reminder that the pressures of life and football can sometimes have devastating consequences. But Chuck Hughes—
Jeez, man, that took a turn. I didn't see that happening. He was a hardworking guy, great player, didn't seem to, do anything like antisocial behavior or anything like that. And then bang, the CTE thing really is a serious thing. A lot of people complain that, oh, they're watering down the league, but mate, I think they have to, don't they? Just the head injuries.
Death was a stark reminder of the physical risks inherent in the sport itself. Unlike other players whose careers were cut short by off-field tragedies, Hughes remains the only player in NFL history to die during a game, a moment that left fans and teammates shaken and changed the league forever. Chuck Hughes was not a household name by any means, but he was the epitome of perseverance. A wide receiver drafted in the 4th round by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1967, Hughes played sparingly before being traded to the Detroit Lions in 1970. And while not a star, he was a dependable player known for his toughness and dedication. Hughes worked tirelessly to earn a spot on the field, fighting through injuries and depth chart competition to contribute wherever his team needed him, primarily as a special teamer. But on October 24th, 1971, the Lions faced the Chicago Bears at Tiger Stadium in Detroit. Late in the 4th quarter, Hughes entered the game as a substitute, and as the Lions drove down the field, Hughes ran a route but collapsed suddenly, Initially, players and fans thought he was injured from contact, but it quickly became clear something was gravely wrong. Medical personnel rushed to his aid as players from both teams watched in stunned silence. Hughes was transported to the hospital but was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. He was just 28 years old. The cause of death was later determined to be a heart attack, brought on by an undiagnosed vascular disease. Tragically, Hughes had complained of chest pains weeks earlier but was cleared to play after tests showed no immediate concerns. His death sent shockwaves through the league and the wider sports world, as fans and players alike grappled with the realization that such a tragedy could occur on the field. The NFL in the 60s and 70s was like the Wild West, and Hughes' passing marked a turning point in how the NFL addressed player health. The incident underscored the importance of thorough medical evaluations and the need for increased awareness of cardiovascular risks, even for young, seemingly healthy athletes. The Chuck Hughes story is a sobering reminder of how fragile life can be, even for pro athletes in peak condition. While his death wasn't directly caused by football, it serves as a symbol of the unpredictability of life and the unseen health risks that can affect anyone, even those who seem invincible on the field.
Mate, oh my God. Because, yeah, you would think, he's an NFL player, he's training every day, he's fit, he's eating, food prepared by chefs. Like, he's, you would look at him and think he is like top 0.1% in terms of physical health, but they just didn't know about the heart condition. Man, this video, really sobering, man. Like, you never know what people are going through behind closed doors. Like, the guy, the linebacker, everything looked like it was fine. And then he just did what he did. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.